Who's up next in the Golden?
Well, hello, good afternoon, good day, everyone around the world. I'm Christina, and this is Women Getting Visible, and I have the amazing Mary Wilcox Smith right here in the studio with me today, author, speaker, founder of the Micro-Step Method, parent coach. And I love the next piece is raising 4 daughters taught you more than anything you ever learned in a boardroom. Oh, I'm so excited to have you with me here today. Mary was also a speaker at the recent Women Getting Visible conference and talked a little bit about her parenting experience and the coaching that she offers to others. So, hello, Mary.
Hello, Christina. So nice to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. So, I know I told a little hint about you and what you do, but tell us a little bit more. And where in the world can we find you today?
Oh, well, I live just outside of DC in Northern Virginia. And I have 4 girls, as you just mentioned. The last one today started a full-time job. And so it was, we gave her the little thing, instead of saying first grade, it said first day of adulting. And I wrote a text in the family chat that said, that's a wrap, because that's the 4th one.
Love it. That's amazing. Wow. Wow. Now that must be a complete experience. You know, it's invaluable raising children, period. But to raise 4 girls, and they were pretty close in age.
Yeah, really close in age. Yeah, couldn't figure out where they're coming from. They were born within like 5 years.
It's the soap. You were shooting soap, weren't you?
Yeah, so they're very close. So they're 22 to 27-ish right now. Actually, they're probably 22 to 20. No, anyways, I'm not even going to go there.
Oh my goodness. And so how did you get into parent coaching?
So I think what ultimately happened when I first, actually, if I think back to when I went to college, I wanted to go into, psychology. I really sort of, that drew me and I was interested in it. But I remember, unfortunately, I was bored with the 101 courses. And then nobody really said, well, just stick with it. So I did, I ended up graduating with something just different that was a little more challenged for the lower levels. And so then I went through life and ran a skiing holiday company in Switzerland, which was very fun. And I went to school in France. I did all these really fun things. And I married a Canadian. My first 2 girls are Argentine. We lived in Argentina. And I married a Canadian. And we ended up having these 4 girls. And my second one was born with pretty significant medical issues. So on top of it being hard because there were 4 girls, there was all of that, which added just a tremendous amount because she had quite significant medical issues. And on top of that, what happens to all of us, and I think my baggage was just particularly big, was we bring our own baggage to parenting. So what I found in the beginning years, it was great because, my idea of sort of just get things done and win at all costs and sort of have fun and do things well, that works for a while, but then they get to be the teens or tweens even, when they start to develop into themselves, and parenting is a completely different experience. And it just got very hard for me. And so when I started to see my own anxiety and perfectionism and even depression sort of showing up in different ways in them, it was just sort of a wake-up call. And so eventually I decided, once I learned everything, I decided I needed to help people understand what they can do to help kids, because anxiety and depression is an epidemic.
It's so interesting. The whole concept of a parenting coach. I didn't know that even existed. And then I met you, and then I met 3 other women within a month who are all parenting coaches.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. Where does someone go to find a parenting coach?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think what actually happens a lot of the time, I had a great call yesterday from someone, and he had a child, and I think he was torn whether he needed therapy or something else. But he saw me on, I think, Psychology Today, and I introduced it with a real scenario of how it's difficult. And he phoned me, he said, because when I read your stuff, it's exactly how I feel. And I think, I think it's changing because therapists, a lot of therapists now have parent coaches in their office. But the concept was always send your kid to therapy, and the age got lower and lower, as it does with everything. But kids need their parent. And so when you send them to therapy, the relationship that the therapist is building is the one that the kid needs with their parent. And then in their teen, great. Or if they have really, really difficult issues and it's too much for the parent, great. But in these younger ages, the parent is the change agent through the relationship with their child. And so I say to this person, and he was all on board, is when you change, we're going to see a change. And then we can decide, because this child's 13, if they also need therapy. So where do you find them? You look up parent coach, but people don't know to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful story because the struggles of being a parent, the struggles that you go through, and then what do? We look at our own experience first and foremost, right?
So what happens, yes, and what happens with me is your experience comes up in the teaching I give you, because we untangle what's going on. We figure out why it's happening. And it's like, oh, that's why I'm reacting like that. So you're right. But they don't come to it thinking I'm going to fix myself, because that's daunting for people. But at least they come with an awareness that says, maybe I have a role in this, or what I want them to hear, which is you are the change agent.
Wow.
But that's hard for parents to hear, because it's a lot easier to outsource. Yeah. Send them to a tutor, send them to a therapist, I think.
Yes. And it makes so much sense. I mean, my background actually is in psychology as well. And I love developmental psychology, because there's so many elements of our childhood that come to rear their head at some point in our life, and then figuring out what do we do with that. And I mean, how many times have we heard the sentence, if it was good enough for me, if it was good enough for my parents, it's good enough for my kids.
Yeah.
But times have changed.
Yeah.
In so many ways. I mean, it's not the simplistic life of 3 channels on television. It's now also all of the electronics that we're dealing with, all of the incoming messages that we're dealing with, and then as adults dealing with those for ourselves, as well as trying to figure out and navigate what we can do with our children. So, yeah.
Well, no, I could wait. I'm a talker. I can wait. But I was just going to say quickly, I'm doing this course for parents of athletes with an Olympian, because we brought sort of our 2 perspectives together, and we think it's really strong. And one thing that I keep telling these people is, it's not that the kids' brains have changed. It's not that we are fundamentally different from our parents, but the climate, on top of everything you mentioned, our children are winning from the age of 6. And so it's very easy to tell them how great they are when they win. And some of the wrong messaging ends up happening, not because our parents didn't do it, but because 8 times a day they're doing things that's getting posted on the fridge. Does that make sense? So it's another piece that gets in the way.
Well, and that's part of the whole addiction problem, that instant gratification. And we see that's how we keep you on social media. That's how we keep you, with that feeling of like, oh, I won again. So
yes,
how do we deal with that when we're not always winning?
Yeah.
So in a parenting coach, are you spending time with the parent solo, the child solo together? How does that work?
So I only speak to the parent.
Okay.
I only speak to the parent, and I learn a lot about the child. But I'm going to give you an example. Someone comes to me, they say, I've got 2, think of one particular client. They come say, I've got 2 kids. The boy's the perfect one. In this case, he was the younger one. He's so easy. He gets everything right. He's just so simple. And the girl, she's a pain in the neck and she won't listen and she never does what I say. And she gets so upset about everything. It's all so much drama. And so we untangle it. And it's very classic when you have a good kid and a good kid and a bad kid. It's very easy to sort of get into a rut. And with her, I changed how she was responding to this girl in a way. I use one of my favorite sort of micro steps from my book is sort of accepting is not agreeing, which is really just validating what the child was saying, even if she didn't agree at all. Like, yeah, getting out the door in the morning is no fun. Instead of, well, we got to get out the door, you got to get to school. So she stopped kind of fighting her against everything, which had happened because of the background and everything. And the kid obviously thought her brother was better, so she felt lesser than. Within 4 weeks, like she had like a 6-week package. On the 5th week, she was like, can we save the 6th one? Because she's completely turned around. That doesn't always happen. But if you have the parent that's able to implement and doesn't have a lot of triggers and trauma, and the situations, whatever, that we pick something that they can implement, it gives me chills each time. The child changes.
Mm-hmm.
The child starts doing their homework. The child stops back talking. It's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Now, here's a little more personal question for you, because I think when we're doing work for other people, we always have that introspective piece. How much of your healing work for others has helped you heal through your own journey when you look at your upbringing and what kind of situation? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Yeah. So when I talk about my upbringing, I sort of say I had, I think of this time I went to some special retreat kind of thing. I had to fill in something. And this woman went and looked at it, some therapist looked at it. And, or I don't know exactly what she was, but she said, the thing that struck me is you talk about having this amazing childhood, big white house on the hill and horses and 2 golden retrievers and a donkey, and being able to do all these fun things and, really being gifted with your parents' intelligence and some athleticism and, really recognizing all of that. And then you tell of this trauma that's crazy. So I had to tell both. And so the trauma, some of it is a suicide. My father took his life. My sister took her life. Like there was some real depression, but he was a brilliant lawyer. And then, then there's some other personal trauma that happens in all of that. But I was a perfectionist and I had grade A students. So there's this sort of dichotomy that I've always struggled with. So that's your first question was, tell us a little about your childhood. I would say that's a little bit about my childhood. Is that helpful?
Yes, yes. And your healing work for yourself through what you're going through with you work with others.
And I would say full disclosure, I'm not one of those people that was like, well, took 11 years of therapy and now I got it right. I'm like, how come that hasn't happened yet? But I'm always learning. And so, so of course I'm still working on things myself. But I find what I also love is the neuroscience behind it. Like I love understanding why things are the way they are, why our brain works the way it does, why I have the tendencies I do, where it's come from. So when I'm working with clients, I don't know that I learn from their shifts when they understand what's going on for them, because I'm always a bit ahead of them on that because I like it so much. But where I learn particularly is that I'm also working on this keynote. And one of the things I really like to do is simplify for my clients why things are the way they are. So as a therapist, I don't know that you can always sort of you don't spend time explaining why things they are the way they are. And I feel like as a coach, I can, and people really appreciate it. So the thing I spend a lot of time doing is simplifying the neuroscience. So when I work on my keynote that I'm really excited about, it's taking why it makes a difference, how we show up, and why that wires into our kids' brain, and how we can hopefully prevent them from having some of the things that are wired into our brain. And I would say the constant dedication to that and understanding of that helps me in my own work. on my own growth. So that was a full circle, but does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think it's really important. I mean, those little, what was this? My mother even spoke about it. It's like learn one, um, learn one, do one, teach one. So that as you are going through your own practice, that you are gaining so much more and you learn so much more of what you're doing when you actually are putting it in practice.
Oh, I love it. Learn one, do one, teach one.
Yes, yes.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's coming from the medical science background that she had as a pediatrician.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, she was a pediatrician. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, so working with children all the time, and I'd watch that special sauce that she had, because to me she was my mother. But then when she gets out into the world and she's, playing Dr. Vidovich,
Yeah.
and I'm like, look at my mother, the Pied Piper. So it's so fun to see those things that we do. So how about you and your daughters? Are they surprised by what you're doing and the work that you've done with others? Have they ever commented, and has that ever influenced their decisions of what they've done with their careers?
Well, I would say, in my book, I have an anecdote in front of each chapter, and it's based on my kids. So I had them all read it, make sure they were okay with it, and they all were like, "Fine, whatever." Like, we know it was a disaster at home, and I would say they were supportive. I would say every now and then you get, is that how you would tell? Was that what you would tell your clients to do? Right? Like, it's like you're like getting totally caught out, right? The cobbler shoes. So I get a bit of that, and I think there's one of them who actually majored also in cognitive science with a specialty in neuroscience. I think one day she'll be in the world of some of this, because I think she's been through so much. I think she could teach a lot. But yeah, so they're all supportive. They're nice about it.
That's incredible. So tell us a little bit more about your book, the title, and what is it about?
So the book came about because I'm frenetic, and I try to do everything, and I'm type A, and I'm going 100 miles an hour, and I had 4 girls and one with medical issues. And when I started learning, about just the whole developmental journey, and comparing it to the neuroscience, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I just had someone simplify that for me and tell me what to do? And so I had these things that I called microstep minutes. And I would give an example of what happened. And I would say, here's what we often do, what we revert to, and here's what we could do instead. And then here's the neuroscience behind it and why it's good for your connection and for their resilience, both of which drive better behavior and kids who thrive. So I ended up having I would write these and send them out as emails. And then I turned them into a book with like 40 of them. And I put them into chapters of our kids' needs, like boundaries and safety and connection and allowing them to struggle. And then I took an anecdote of mine and put it before each. And I named it the microstep method, just because I just wanted to say to people, like, I'm not going to try to have you overhaul your parenting. You can make such a significant difference by just starting with something small. Pick the thing that bothers you the most. What's going wrong there? How can you change in that moment, and start there? And that, with the woman I talked about, that's what we did. We started with one thing. After 4 weeks, we had 4 different things, that would make a difference. And I now have sort of a conceptual model where I actually show that it's research backed, that these little moments done correctly add up, and you sort of have it's like they compound like interest. The difference you can make in the potential of your child is huge just by making a small step today.
So the title of the name again is
The
Microstep.
microstep method. I think I call it for the overwhelmed parent.
There's the niche.
And now, now my niche always changes, but basically we're all overwhelmed. So it fits all of us. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to ask you my favorite question that I love to ask everybody. On your own personal visibility journey, so wherever you think you are and where you're going, and if 1 is not being very visible and 10 is being completely visible, Where are you on your own visibility journey?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I think I would say, I think I would probably say 6. Like I'm more than 50%, just because I have friends and family and I'm not afraid to put a video here and there. I don't have 1 million followers. So, but that wasn't necessarily my goal. But I do want to get on a big stage.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be doing my keynote on a big stage. So I feel like I am a little over half. I'm probably a little more than halfway to that. I have the tools now. I know how to do it. I spent a lot of time figuring out my message and simplifying it. So now it's a matter of putting it together. It's actually put together, but actually pushing the envelope on doing more speaking. So I've pulled back a little bit on some of the coaching, want to spend more time with that. And then that will boost my visibility and it'll boost the impact I have. Because I think you said at the beginning, was it you that said, it's one thing to help a parent, but if I can have a room full of people walk away thinking, I could just make some small changes and it might make a really big difference in my child's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel like I've made a big step in my mission, which is really to reduce, I would say my mission is to reduce anxiety and depression among young teen and young adult girls, but I would say actually everybody. But
that's beautiful. Well, you answered my next 2 questions. They're like, what's next for Mary and what's your legacy message? So
there you go, package it all into one.
Boom. It's like you read my mind.
Either that or I just talk too much.
That too. And there's nothing wrong with that. Oh my goodness. So if somebody wants to find you out there, Mary, where can they find you? If you have a website, where can we find your book?
I think the easiest way, so the book, if you know the title, you can look it up. It's on Amazon. Easiest way to find me is probably Mary Smith Parent Coach, like 4 really easy words. MarySmithParentCoach.com, also MaryWilcoxSmith.com, but I don't know, either of those. And then, the easiest ways is I have some programs, I have coaching things, I do have a course. Get on my mail list. I send stuff out, just ideas, or reach out to me. There's plenty of ways to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I really do enjoy LinkedIn at the moment.
Fantastic.
So I'm out there. Just go to my name, but reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to anybody.
I love it. And it's so fun because your name, Mary Smith, Mary Wilcox Smith.
Wait. I'm married to John Smith. He's Dutch. So his real name is John Willem, but nobody in Canada can say John Willem, so they say John Smith. I'm Mary and John Smith.
Oh my goodness, that is so funny. I love it.
Or not.
and getting more visible, getting out there and speaking on stages, sharing your wisdom. I applaud you because we need messages like yours. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us today here on Women Getting Visible.
Christina, you do a great job making women visible. So I really, I'm honored to be here. And thank you very much for your time.
Who will be up next in the Golden Chair? Join us next week. I am your host, Christina Vidovich of Women Getting Visible.